and gents, we are on our way to Ace Comic-Con.
Ace Comic-Con. It's the second Ace Comic-Con big, huge event that they've ever had. And the second one is taking place here in Phoenix, Arizona.
We got big names coming.
Chris Evans,
Tom Holland, Sebastian Stan Lee, Carl Urban, all your favorite Marvel characters are coming. And then
WWE tapping into the world of Hulk Hogan, Jimmy Hart, Eric Bischoff, a whole slew of the wrestling fanatics. So let's do that now. So we've got our media wristband, not so much of a badge. The whole lower half of the arena is actually reserved for what it seems, VIPs, so people that paid quite a bit of extra money to sit down on the bottom.
Yeah.
So we're gonna take one last ditch effort to see if we can maybe get into the lower section. Otherwise, we will be banished to the cheap seats.
To the nosebleeds.
With everyone else.
Yes.
The non-superheroes, if you will. And of course, it wouldn't be a convention without a wee bit of confusion. Doesn't know if he should let us up or keep us down. Poor guy.
So we just finished watching the Q&A with the Captain America cast.
Anthony Mackie, Sebastian Stan,
And Chris Evans!
And they were, they're bros. That's the thing, is you put them all together, they have a lot of fun.
You could tell that they're close, that they work very well together, and they just kind of joke around with each other. It was so funny because they just wrapped with Infinity War, so we're just sitting eager, we want to know more, but they're just sitting we can't say anything. So it was cool to kind of, but they did talk about a little bit about some stuff that happened on set that they remember and that they will cherish, because this is kind of the last time that all of them are going to be together in Infinity War.
Right, because they did film them back to back,
right.
The Infinity War and then the Infinity Gauntlet. So whoever makes it out alive, they get to carry it forward, but if you don't make it out alive, your franchise is pretty much done.
Yeah, but it was just so much fun. Is it weird to say that I was breathing the same air as Chris Evans?
It's very weird.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay,
but it's funny because I see Sebastian Stan down there. It's Stan, right? Not Shaw. Sebastian Stan. Sebastian Shaw is Anakin Skywalker, the original. So the cool thing is, though, is seeing Sebastian Stan down there is all I think about is I, Tonya.
That's what I was thinking too, because we just watched I, Tonya, so
right.
Seeing him there kind of fresh in our minds, I'm you're kind of a jerk
right.
in the movie.
But he's so he does a great job in I, Tonya.
Yeah.
So that's what, I'm looking at his independent stuff a little bit more than, as the Winter Soldier.
And all of them have come from that really background
right.
as well.
Chris Evans pretty much came full throttle after the Not Another Teen movie, and then he went
Fantastic Four.
Yeah, the Fantastic Four, which they joked about is now that Fox and Marvel, Disney, together, Marvel,
they can have him play Johnny and
Cap. And the cool thing is he made a reference. He's oh yeah, the Parent Trap.
Yeah.
He's I could do it. And it's let's get together. That would be something that we'd be happy to see. Of course, they joked that it wouldn't. Sebastian Stan made a comment about Logan. Hugh Jackman.
Him sitting next to Hugh Jackman and talking about they're kind of in the same universe now, so it's
why not?
Am I seeing you again?
And he said, Hugh Jackman said he's working on stuff, and then everybody went crazy. But yeah, Anthony Mackie too. I love Anthony Mackie and pretty much everything he's in. But
you gotta get him. Tweet about him and Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah,
he wants to be in a video. Put him in a video, Kendrick.
He was so happy Kendrick Lamar is doing the music for Black Panther,
which is amazing.
Yeah.
So it's awesome that and then it's great. So thank you so much for bringing them here.
Yeah, it's cool to get the big names like that.
Yeah, because it's cool to this is a way to kind of connect with the fans as well, because you don't really get that a whole lot when you're that big of a star.
It's true, yeah, unless you go to D23 or San Diego Comic-Con.
Right, I was making a joke and I was we were at D23 this year, so I was Chris Evans wasn't there, so we had to track him down here.
Which is cool that we did. The cool thing is we're waiting for the next panel, which is going to be Stan Lee coming up right now. Now the big thing is reviewing the actual panel itself, because we've done the panels at Phoenix Comic-Con and D23. The cool thing about this kind of panel is you have a model moderator up there, but he is engaging in conversation with the guests. Yeah, you don't go to the fans for questions, which leaves out that fan interactivity that you would normally find at like Phoenix Comic-Con, but at the same time it cuts out the real awkward repetitive questions that you typically get. So it's a flowing conversation and it's entertaining. I mean, you're on task the entire talk. The only thing is though, it's like 30 minutes was the panel and then that's it. Gotta go, and then they gotta run off to go do something else.
Which they're gonna be so exhausted tonight though, because I gotta do photo ops, I gotta do autographs.
Yeah, but they're making bank on it. Now, another critique of this style of panel is that it's done essentially in an arena form. The arena is, think of Ice Capades and Disney on Ice, but a Comic-Con in traveling form. The downside to that is that essentially what they've done is they split the arena into two, and you have the panels on one side, and then
on the other side they have
the exhibition hall with some of the stuff. But then scattered throughout the arena, you're going to end up seeing a lot of the vendors, you're seeing cosplayers, you're seeing a lot of the patrons of a Comic-Con spread out all over.
Which in a way is kind of good because you're kind of in a flow. So everybody, instead of like
moving around,
you can get to everybody quicker, easier than having to go through like rows, I guess.
The downside to that too, though, is the fact that the exhibition hall is sharing the giant arena with the panel room and all the all the vendors all around. The noise carries quite vastly.
Because during this panel there was somebody talking about getting in line for other
for Tom Holland
and all this stuff.
5 times over the loudspeakers. So while we're listening to the panel and the boys are down there talking,
couldn't hear what they were saying because they were talking over.
Make sure you bring your green ticket to Tom Holland's and blah blah blah, and it's carried throughout the arena, and it completely suppresses the audio coming from the panel itself.
You want to hear what they're saying, but you're like trying to block out what they're saying about it.
So that is a downside to what I would see this level of convention. But all in all, though, I mean, it's we're never going to complain when it comes to seeing these actors come out of these movies almost immediately and spending time with the fans.
I mean, especially for these guys too. I mean, Sebastian Stan, he was just at the People's Critics Award.
The Critics' Choice, and then the Golden Globes,
and all that stuff that's been going on. So it's such an honor for them to come now.
Yep, and so that was really just the start. They kicked it off the first day with the first panel right out of the gate, and that's the thing is, luckily we have the media bracelets that got us in because it was a huge line outside. I'm not even sure if everyone got in on time to be able to get to the panel, but I mean, other than that, we were able to get in, which we're lucky, and we sat right up front row, but of the cheap seats, to be able to see the panel. It's not a bad view.
It's not bad.
No, we liked it. But now on to Stanley. Oh, they're making that announcement again over the arena. You can hear it carrying throughout. Okay, so the Stan Lee panel. I think the highlight was mostly Todd McFarlane was the moderator, which was definitely kind of a 2-for-1.
Yes, the panel itself was kind of just like talking about Stan Lee and everything that he's done in the past. And then I loved when he was talking about all the cameos that he's done in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, as well as other Marvel properties as well. And they let some of the audience go and ask questions towards the end of the panel, and that one was pretty good because then they got to interact with him a little bit. But my favorite one was asking him what his favorite cameo was that he has ever done. And it was funny because he picked the one from Avengers Age of Ultron when he talks to Thor and Thor gives him the drink and all that stuff. And the reason why he liked it so much is because he got 2 scenes essentially, because when they carry him out and everything. So I thought that was pretty cool that he was like, I like that one because I was able to get 2.
And you could tell that there's a strong friendship between Todd McFarlane and Stan Lee as well. Like, he is very fortunate, like he feels fortunate to get Todd McFarlane as an interviewer because you have to take a lot of time with him. He is definitely, I mean, he's what, 95?
He's 95.
Yes.
So he's definitely up in age, so.
We're not going to have him for much longer. The crowd was definitely thin for Stan Lee versus, of course, the spearhead that is the Avengers of Captain America and Bucky and falcon, but all in all, I mean, he is the man that created this entire universe that has been very relevant to pop culture, at least just for our lifetime and the lifetime before that as well for us. That's it for panels for today, so let's go wander.
Yeah. I could just stand here for hours and watch this plasma TV.
So it's funny because, you know, you typically go to a Comic-Con of some sort and there's an entire area for signings, but here
we're on the third floor, and they have like little booths set up for where they're doing the autographs.
like John Barenthal's booth is right here.
Yeah, and there's not very much room to walk, so I'm assuming what they're gonna end up doing, like they've done with, it looks like when they have people just sit down and they're gonna wait, and then they're just gonna bring people up to get an autograph.
I guess that utilizing the seats is effective as a placeholder for people to gather until their autograph is, you know, time. But it's definitely cluttered when you go up to like the walkway. But it's cool to utilize the seats in the arena because yeah, how many of us have just sat in a room or sat in a giant queue waiting for our photo op or autograph?
Or just standing there. They're able to sit down and wait until somebody tells them like, okay, it's your guys' turn to get your autograph.
Like really big expensive right here. So we made it to the show floor at the center of the arena.
It's small.
It's incredibly small, it's incredibly crowded. The photo op section, which takes place at the end of the arena, pretty much where you would expect the Zamboni to come out during a hockey game. That's where they have the photo ops. You go back into the back rooms that are there. The line goes through metal detectors, but it also spills out into the show floor where pretty much everybody is standing as well.
Yeah.
So you've got two long lines spanning halfway through the entire show floor. So it's pretty congested. It's hard to get through. It's actually kind of nice now when you think about it that the artists and a lot of the other vendors are spread out throughout the building as well, because we didn't see the one we were looking for, which is Greg Horn, but he's not down here, so we're going to go cruise.
Go find him.
Yeah, cruise the second. But for you, I mean, impression of the show floor.
It's just a really tiny like section. I mean, it's fine, but it's just really, the only thing that I would have is like what he's talking about, like the overflow of the line, just waiting, and there's no, because everybody's in line, so everybody's trying to weave in and out of them, and it's kind of hard. So if they moved them, it would have been fine.
So you ready to walk Artist Alley?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's go. Didn't you come?
What are you talking about? We're gonna go right now. Bruce Willis?
So now we're just hanging out until the Spider-Man panel with Tom Holland and the gang.
Yeah, they had it at the end of the day, so it's probably like, hold out guys, don't leave just yet. They got the Spider-Man panel coming up, which I feel like that is a lot of what people are here for, because yesterday everybody was like, woo, and they said Tom Holland's name. So.
Yeah, Anthony Mackie is pretty funny when all the people in the crowd started screaming
Mostly
for
girls.
Tom Holland. Yeah, mostly the girls.
Yeah, it was pretty funny because he's like, Tom Holland, and they're like, ah!
And they're like, Dave
and
Bautista.
Then Dave Bautista, and then everyone, I was screaming loud for Dave Bautista for sure.
But the cool thing is, I mean, we've talked about kind of the layout. We're starting to get a little bit more acquainted with the format that they've chosen for Artist Alley, which is more like Artist Pathway?
Raceway.
Yeah, Raceway. Perfect. Yeah, I mean, we've gone around the loop maybe 4 or 5 times just today and ran into some awesome people, Gabriella and Christian from Frumious Reads, so check out their channel. And then we've seen artwork, just artwork that you typically miss on one pass through.
And then you look, It's really more so like when we walk, I kind of look to see if there's any artwork that they have on the wall to kind of catch my eye. I haven't found yet. I want to find a Thor and Loki print, and I haven't found one that I absolutely love.
It's got to speak to you. It's got to leave a lasting impression. Like Greg Horn's art does that, and we finally found Greg Horn too. But yeah, definitely walking through the Artist Raceway, you see a lot of cool stuff, and then now we're just hanging out in the arena. There's plenty of seating room, which is the nice thing here. Usually at like a convention, when you go to a seating area, it's, you know, an assembly hall with a bunch of tables and chairs, and you're kind of displaced from all the action. Here, I mean, there's obviously plenty of seating all around you.
Yes.
You can pretty much set up shop wherever you want, and you still feel like you're part of the action. People watch, costume watch, and check out a panel that's going on in the arena. So.
And they have all the TVs going on too, as you can see from one of our shots, that they do have TVs all around with the panels playing. So you, even if you're not interested in what was going on in the panel a little bit, you can be like walking down the aisle, and then you spot something, you kind of just watch the TV for a bit, and then you can kind of go on. So it's everywhere. It's like immersed all together.
It's a good place for absorption, without having to interact fully. And then when you want to get up out of your chair and interact, it's all there for you. So it's a very relaxed convention, and for that we appreciate that.
Hold the phone. You want to go back to So we got back into watching Ash vs. Evil Dead, and in the second season they do an awesome, like,
very timey-wimey episode.
Yes.
Essentially it's a bottle episode.
Yes, essentially. And there's a puppet, and ever since that episode I'm like, I want that Ashy Slashy puppet. And I was online, I was looking at all the prices and everything, and then we were here, and then we found it!
It's funny because it's the last one that the guy had. He probably pulled another one out and put it on top of the shelf.
Yeah, probably.
We've wanted an Ashy Slashy puppet for a while.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just worked out.
I'm so happy.
Ashy Slashy.
I'm so happy.
And John Bernthal.
Sexy and I know it. Girl, look at that body. I work out. Girl, look at that body. Girl, look at that body.
Are you guys ready to meet the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man or what? Jacob Batalon. Laura Harrier. And Tom Holland.
What's up, everyone?
Day 2 panels back to back. We had The Punisher and we had Spider-Man Homecoming.
Yeah, with the Punisher Comic-Con panel, it was a lot more vibrant than when John Bernthal came to Comic-Con Phoenix last year. Last year he kind of was just like taking questions from the audience, and he was just like, I don't know, and there was one person that asked him a question and he really was like, I don't know how to answer that, and I feel like the person probably got a little like, well, why aren't you gonna answer my question? But the question was kind of weird anyway.
He didn't seem very receptive to the questions, the format, and he couldn't really talk about anything because the season of Punisher had not come out yet on Netflix.
No.
So he really didn't know how to dance around. He's not that kind of guy. He's a very straightforward kind of guy.
Yeah.
And plus his counterpart didn't really help that much either. Foggy from Daredevil. But that was a little different this time around.
Yes, this time around they were, since the season came out already, they were able to kind of talk about it more. And he was a lot more vibrant to the questions that were asked. There was a girl that was on stage, like letting the interview flow well because she was from People magazine, so
Right.
she's been through that before. She knows how to talk to these celebrities and ask the kind of questions that you're going to get an answer from them. And there was a slew of questions that some audience people asked, and there was one that really stuck out to me. I couldn't remember the exact question, but the answer that John Barenthal gave was just like one of those like personal answers, and we never really got that before, so it was kind of like oh, that's awesome that he kind of shared that with us. And he was talking about his teacher, like he just stumbled into a theater class because he needed the credit for it and he didn't really care, and he was just like, well, what are these people like? Who are them? And he ended up falling in love with the acting and everything, and he was talking about how his teacher is the one that most influenced him to become an actor and be a part of this world. And he was even talking about how he had her name tattooed on him, and
she officiated his wedding.
Yeah, and so that was a really cool answer that he gave, and he was just a lot more vibrant during this time. Granted, he could have been like super tired last time, but this time it was an enjoyable panel.
He definitely opened up a lot more and gave us more emotion, and he was a completely different, it seemed like, person from before to now. I really enjoyed it. It was a great panel. Okay, so the Spider-Man Homecoming panel. That one was a lot of fun because you could tell they haven't gone through this a whole lot. So it's still fresh for them. They're still energized,
they're
eager.
basking in all of the fun that is Comic-Cons and everything, and it was just them talking about their experience on Homecoming, and it was just a lot of fun because they were brought into this like big MCU universe and Sony universe, and now they've got like this whole like thing, but yet they're still like these young kids. Granted, they're probably like in their early 20s, I believe, but it was still just a lot of fun to see how like giddy and excited that they are to be a part of this and see all the people that have come out to meet them.
And they love Tom Holland. That's the thing, is they just, everyone keeps going crazy for Tom Holland. So it's definitely, he's living it up as, you know, the love of the MCU right now. As for, he's a fresh new face, and it's great to see him basking in it, as well as everybody else, the other two from Spider-Man Homecoming. He's excited for what we're going to get with Infinity War. It's funny because
there was a part that he was talking about, like when he, and they were talking about how, what it meant to go and finally see a finished product from when they were doing the video or the movie. And so Tom Holland specifically was talking about when they were doing Avengers, and how he was talking about the Avengers in the Infinity War, and when he was trying to fight like this big bad guy, and he was talking to the Russo brothers, and he's like, okay, trying to get information from them, like, what am I fighting? Because he's not fighting anything, because it's like they're gonna put it in later. And the Russo brothers like, we can't tell you, it's a secret. And he's like, okay, then how big is he? And it's like, we can't tell you, he'll give it away. And it's like, okay, then what does it look like? And it's like, that'll give it away too. So it was fun.
Tom Holland is known for letting things slip, as are some of the other Avengers. So yeah, they have to, you know, take care when telling him what is going on for the stuff that hasn't been rendered yet. But either way, that panel was a lot of fun. Back-to-back Punisher and Spider-Man. It was entertaining, to say the least. They had pre-show with the kids dressed as Spider-Man. That definitely was a good way to amp everybody up before the panel. But yeah, if you ever get a chance to see Holland and the Homecoming cast, check it out. It's a lot of fun. Ace Comic Con is a wrap for us.
Yes, very small, very short, very quick. So if you're somebody that is looking to want to get involved in some kind of Comic-Con, something like this would probably be more up your alley, because it's just one and done, basically.
Yeah, it is definitely a beginner's style of Comic-Con.
Granted, there is a lot of issues with this one, considering that it is the beginning of its formation, so there's a lot of stuff that they need to improve on as far as communication and everything. So if you do end up going to like an Ace Comic Con, just know that not all cons are going to be confusing and messed up ish like this one, but it is small, so then you kind of ease your way into a Comic-Con scene.
And that's the thing too, is it is a newer con, and it is in a place that doesn't have a whole lot of conventions come through in Glendale. So a lot of the workers, a lot of the security, they haven't been through the trials and tribulations of a convention, much like the more traditional Comic-Cons. It's an aspiration that they're reaching for, to be able to take this traveling troupe, much like Disney on Ice, but convention form, from arena to arena. So we give them, props for that. But at the same time, there are a lot of kinks that need to be worked out. This is only their second event that they've ever done. So we understand why there will be kinks in every convention. It takes a little bit of time for them to figure it out and get it up and running more successfully, much faster, and with a little bit more information from worker to worker.
You don't know until you try, and they're trying. So
and then
I give them props for that.
There were some things like Chris Evans got ill. Carl Urban didn't show because he was sick as well. They came to Arizona. We're one of the flu capitals of the country right now.
And to be fair, it happens. There will be something that will happen where they can't come. So just be prepared for that as well in a lot of cons, because he was here all day yesterday meeting with so many people. So that's a lot of hands to shake. That's a lot of giving people hugs and kisses and stuff. So there's a lot of germs going around.
And that's the thing too, is we talked to a lot of people that thought their experience was great. They got their pictures, they got their autographs, they were happy. And then we talked to some others that did not have a good time at all.
It looks like the majority of the people that had a good time were more so the ones that got the VIP tickets, because then theirs was more streamlined. There are a couple that were general admissions that were like, yeah, it was fine. You just have to be patient. With everybody. Patience is the #1 key.
It's a virtue.
For sure. And then just kind of relax and have fun.
So thank you guys for watching our vlog from Ace Comic-Con here at the Gila Arena. It was a learning experience for them as well as us, and we appreciate them coming through Arizona and bringing their show to us. Yes. So thank you guys. You could like, you could subscribe.
You can do the thing on our Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, Stardust.
All the social networking joints, you know where they are. Kick into the party, fill the party at a Patreon. Gets us where we need to go, like places like this. And you guys, you know what to do. Thank you so much, and as always, now it's time to say goodbye.
And this party's over.
This party's over indeed.
Bye.